All right, so this is 3.5, part 2, slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form is a specific form of an equation that will allow us to graph the equation very quickly. So most of us know it as the equation y equals mx plus b, okay? So this represents the slope-intercept form of a line. The variable m, which is typically written as cursive, represents the slope of the line. And the variable b represents the y-intercept. So for example, down here, it says find the slope. The slope is the number next to the x. So that is 3. Now, slope we typically write as a fraction. So I'm going to write it as 3 over 1, because that gives me rise over 1. Now, my y-intercept, my b, okay, that's going to be -4. That's that part, okay? And with b, notice there is no x. Because there's no x, it's a slope of 0. And my y-intercept, well, that's going to be 6.5. And with c, my slope is going to be -6 over 1. And my y-intercept is going to be 1. Now, the tricky part about this is that sometimes our equations are not in y equals mx plus b form. So the other week we talked about the cover-up method, and we talked about graphing through that way. But here we can't do that because, yeah, I can cover up the y, okay? If I cover up the y, I get x equals -10, that's fine. But what if I cover up the x? Okay, I would have 4y equals -10, and that doesn't divide out evenly. That would give me -2.5. Well, I can't find that on my graph. So what I need to do is I need to put this into y equals mx plus b form, meaning I need to get y by itself. So again, what I do and what I like to do is I like to cover up that y, and I think to myself, how do I get rid of that positive x? Okay, well, I subtract it. And what I do from here is I drop this -10 off the back. Okay, so I'm not combining any like terms or anything like that. I'm just dropping that off the back, and I have positive 4y equals -x minus 10. And now I go ahead and I divide everything by that 4. So that's going to give me y equals -1/4 x, okay, minus 2.5, because I will divide that out. Now I will write my slope as a fraction. Remember, there's a 1 out in front of that x, so that's where I got the -1/4 from. And -10 divided by 4 is -2.5. And this will allow me to graph it a little easier. Okay, it's not perfect. And yes, sometimes I will have to deal with decimals like in this one. But in the other one, okay, if I were to do the cover-up method, it is possible that I get decimals, okay? So moving on, all right, I can now identify my slope as -1/4, and my y-intercept, my starting point, is -2.5. All right, let's try number 2. With number 2, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add 5x to both sides. That cancels there. I'm left with -y equals 5x minus 2. I'm going to divide by -1, and this gives me y equals -5x plus 2. So my slope is going to be -5 over 1, and my y-intercept is going to be 2. So the way I go about these problems, first thing, if it's in slope-intercept form, I'm going to graph it that way by using the slope and y-intercept, and I'm about to go over that. If it is in standard form like number 1 or like number 2, I'm going to try and graph it using the cover-up method. But if it's not able to be done that way, well, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try and solve it for y and see if that helps me out. So how do I graph these in slope-intercept form? Well, this number here at the end, this is my starting point on my y-axis. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plot the point -4. And this I view as my set of directions, okay? This tells me to go up 2, because it's positive, and to the right 5. Okay, kind of think of it like you're walking around the streets of media and you're trying to get from, let's say, Diego's, because you wanted tacos, okay, to, let's say, the running shop, Bryn Mawr running shop on 3rd and, I forget the name of the street, but you would say, oh, Mike, you're going to go up 1 block and you're going to go to the right 5 blocks. It's a set of directions. Same thing here. You're going to go up 2 blocks from my starting point. So from -4, I'm going to go up 2 blocks, 1, 2, okay, up 2 blocks, and then I'm going to go to the right 5 blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to plot a point there. And now I have these 2 points right here and right here, and I'm simply going to connect my dots. And I'm going to take a second, and I'm going to admire that line because it is a very straight line. So that's how we graph in slope-intercept form. One more time. This number is my starting point. So I'm going to put a point at 7. And then this is my set of directions. Okay, it says to go down 3 because it's negative. And we're always going to go down. We're never going to go to the left. If it's negative, we go down. And to the right 4. And this is why we write all of our slopes as fractions. So let's go down 3. 1, 2, 3. And to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to connect those 2 points. And I'm done. So now we're going to try and graph these. And there's a couple different ways we're going to do them. Okay. So the main goal of these are to graph. All right. So I just want to get the graph down. So we're going to come here and we're going to go ahead and we're going to start at -4. And then my slope says up 4. Notice I put a 1 under it because it wasn't a fraction. And to the right 1. So let's start at -4. And then we're going to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And to the right 1. Now, with number 2, well, I notice it's in standard form, so I'm going to check and see if I can graph this real quick using the cover-up method. So I'm going to cover up that 3x. Notice I got y equals -3. So I'm going to put a point right there. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cover up that y, and I'm going to get 3x equals -3, divide by 3, and get x equals -1. So I was able to graph this very quickly by using the cover-up method. Now, let's just say you forgot how to do the cover-up method. Well, what I could do is I could take 3x plus y equals -3, and I could get y by itself by subtracting 3x from both sides, and that gives me y equals -3x minus 3. So from here, how would I do this? Well, let's look at it. I'm going to start at -3. Notice I have that point, and then I would put a point down. I would go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1. So my line was a little off, but I don't have a ruler. Okay. So I encourage you to take your time to do this correctly, but it would be the same line. Now with number 3, okay, let's start out by doing it using the y-intercept method, okay, or the slope intercept method. So we're going to go ahead and subtract x from both sides, all right, because I'm trying to get y by itself. And then I'm going to divide by 2. So I get y equals -1/2 x plus 3. So I'm going to start at 3, and I'm going to go down 1 to the right 2, down 1 to the right 2, down 1 to the right 2. So I have this set of directions. Now, if I were to do this using the cover-up method, I would cover up the y, and I'd have x equals 6. And then I would cover up the x, and I would have 2y equals 6. Divide by 2, and I get y equals 3. Now we can come here, and we can see there's my point at 3, and there's my point at 6. So you can see we have the same answer despite the way we do it. All right, a linear function h models a relationship in which the dependent variable decreases 2 units for every 5 units. The independent variable increases. Oh boy. Graph h when h equals 0, or when h of 0 equals 4. Identify the slope, y-intercept, x-intercept, and graph the equation of the line. So the equation of the line, it says a linear function h. All right, so let's write h of x. All right. We could call it y equals, if you would like, but I want to show you where that h of x stuff comes into play. It says in which the dependent variable decreases. Well, decreases means goes down by 2 for every 5 units. The independent variable increases. So that's my slope. So -2/5 x. Now this is important. It says we start, because x is 0, we start at 4. Now, if I wanted to do this without h of x, I would write y equals -2/5 x plus 4. Notice that h of 0 equals 4. That's my starting point. Now it says my slope. My slope is -2/5. My y-intercept, because that's what 4 is. My y-intercept is 4. So let's go up to 4, and now let's go down 2 to the right 5. So down 2 to the right 5, 3, 4, 5. Down 2 to the right 5. So I have this set of staircase, and I'm going to draw my line. And you can see my x-intercept was at 10. All right. So now I want you guys to work on your IXLs.